Welcome, everyone, to the Sales and Marketing Perspective podcast. We interview C-suite executives all over the world, the most important reasons why we should be rethinking our entire go-to-market strategy. And today, we're going to do that in spades with Vaughn Mordecai. Now, Vaughn, you're a multiple-time CRO, and you specialize in a very interesting area that your perspective is we should all be putting a lot more time and weight towards. And we're going to be talking about why partnerships are a major driver in our business, why they should actually be a third leg, right? In the marketing, sales, and partnerships, the three legs of the stool that we should be sitting on every day. So you've got a background where you didn't maybe start here. You were in research and consulting, and you started working with some of the biggest companies, tech companies in the world around the partnerships, and you learned by just being thrown into the middle of the fire. I would love to
Yeah.
hear a little bit more about your background before we get started.
Yeah. I got started. I've got a 20-year career in research, actually. And I did a lot of different types of research in a lot of different spaces, one of which was technology. And I ended up heading up a global consulting organization for a while. When I got into that, they said basically, so you know this thing about partnerships or channel. And at the time I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about it because I've been in leadership roles. And that now you're going to go in and you're going to talk about it to the biggest technology companies on the planet, and you're going to show them how to improve their channels and show them how to improve their partnerships. And I went, uh, no, I mean the research principles apply. So we worked really hard on the research, and I came up to speed on channel and partnerships, and have realized that I am awfully passionate about that topic. There's something about partnerships and channel and the relationships that are required that really resonate for me personally, and turned it into an expertise area for me, and it really has become where I focus as a CRO. That's the area that I bring to the table. Every CRO seems to have a specialty, and that one ended up mine for good, better, or worse. But I love it, so it's cool.
Well, I'd love to just start off, partnerships are one of those things that we typically can look at and say, yeah, that can be important. And then I spend all my time over here. We all have so much to do in a day and only so many proactive things we can do. We underestimate the real growth potential in partnerships. And how would you help kind of re-educate us and reorient kind of our mindset towards partnerships out of the whole pile of stuff we got to do every single day?
Yeah, that's a good question, because there are two things that actually get mixed up here. A lot of vendors will want you to think that they're your partner, right? And so when someone's trying to sell you something, they'll say, okay, we're going to partner with you. Well, really, what they want you to do is spend $100,000 a year and pay for blah, 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 and they'll have a deliverable, and then they'll call you a partner. That is not what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. From a partnering standpoint, we're talking about organizations that resell each other, organizations that co-sell with each other, and organizations that work alongside of each other to build better products, to build better outcomes, to build better experiences, and to drive revenue. Now, the really cool thing about this is that you can only go so far with a direct selling motion. So when you market it, you end up with a lot of opportunity. It passes along to your direct sellers. Well, what happens when they top out? You're left with the choice as a CRO to say, well, do I hire 9 more salespeople? Okay, which is pretty expensive and has its own set of risks because they won't all make it. Or do I spend the amount of time that I need to actually build a partner program that monetizes and drives opportunity into my business at a pace that I wouldn't have had access to already? And that's what we're talking about. And the incremental revenue that that a lot of organizations see from this is somewhere between 25 and 40% incremental revenue. that they wouldn't have had access to already at all. And no amount of adding direct sellers would have given them access to it. And so when you start looking at the outcomes there, you can hire 5 more salespeople, or you can recruit 5 partners that in turn have 5 salespeople, and then you've got 25 people working on your behalf instead of 5.
So there are sales, there are deals that are happening everywhere, right? And the picture I'm getting from here is you can have your sales team and you're going to get involved in a certain percentage of those. And there might even be a diminishing point of return on that,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
how do we get into all those other deals that are happening in
Yeah.
other markets and other verticals and other geographies? And you even went so far as to say in our last call, you said, Steve, deal sizes are larger, they close faster, and win rates are better. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
waiting for the downside. I'm waiting, I'm waiting for
No,
the.
well, I mean, the downside is people actually think it's think it's simpler than it really is. I
Yeah,
mean, the reality of this is that from a partnering standpoint, if you're not very good in an industry, you can hire someone and take a shot that they might come up to speed, or you can recruit a partner that's actually just kicks butt in that industry,
right,
right? And
right.
if you get that partner activated and they're selling on your behalf, then they're going to have far better outcomes as a group, as a team, than your individual person ever would in the first place. And so it's an increment of it's an algorithmic increase in scale rather than a linear increase in scale. So you end up with things like industries. You end up with regions that if you're going to try to launch something into APAC and you're an American, what's the likelihood that that's
Mhm.
just going to
Yeah,
go?
yeah.
So you see people launching partnerships in other countries and other regions that just have really good coverage and that can drive revenue in areas that they know are important to them, but that are a little bit squirrely in terms of understanding how to do it right. Same thing goes for verticals. You see it in both horizontal and vertical. It's really interesting. But yeah, it's all incremental. And because those relationships already exist between those partners and their clients, your win rates end up being better than they ever would be. The partner experiences are better than they would have been otherwise. The time to close is shorter. There are just so many there's so many different advantages to it, but it isn't simple. And that's one of the big things that the big mistakes people make around this is that they try to simplify. They figure it's just, recruit the 14-year-old or the 16-year-old kid that they just hired to head this up and that it's all going to work out, and it never does.
Well, I really want to get into the mechanics of what makes a successful partnership. But before we leave this area, like bigger deal sizes, close faster, more accelerated win rates, is a significant reason behind that. In the world of B2B, it's a relationship based business. Like trust
Yeah.
is something that is critical in every relationship, in every single deal. And we could go into all the stuff LinkedIn, Edelman, everybody talks about how it's going down and declining. But how much are you borrowing in this relationship programs with the trust that these organizations that you're partnering with have built up for years in Canada and with their clients? And like, is that a big
Yeah,
part of it?
yeah, it's a huge part of it. You're dipping into it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you're reliant on it. It's funny. I have a partner of ours that we work with from Mindmatrix standpoint that specializes entirely in teaching channel providers or channel organizations how to build trust. That's their entire consulting organization. And these big tech companies hire them in to teach their people to actually build better relationships.
Yeah.
It's an interesting model. They're very successful, and it has an impact that you would never imagine. I mean, in sales world, you start talking about, are they back qualified? You might have challenger sale where you're trying to make them feel uncomfortable. And, there are all
Right.
these like sales methodologies. Well, in partnership world, what the best methodology is just people trusting each other that they're going to do the right thing in the setting that they're provided in. And as long as you don't break that trust, then your outcomes improve and people go to you when you end up with these opportunities. And it's a very different world. You could apply those sales methodologies, but there's just no substitute for a flat out good relationship with someone that you know.
Yeah, and we can't have relationships and know everyone in every industry, in every vertical, in every geo. As you start to unpack this, do we want to play with one hand tied behind our back or many hands out in front? So let me ask you this. This is another thing that, we've all tried partnerships and we all have our reasons why they haven't worked. Another one is, we've all tried partnerships where like we see the value if they recommend business our way. Like, hey, that's the holy grail, right? But then there's an expectation we're reciprocating, we're sending business. So like there's this feeling that there has to be reciprocity. There has to be deal flow both ways, and that's pressure. And then we're not in the business of sending business somewhere else. And now we're spending too much time trying to do that. Like, how do you think about that? Like the reciprocity inside of a partnership there?
You're starting to sound like every CRO everywhere, right? Like that's the big thing that folks don't quite understand. And that has changed a lot over even in the 15 years or so that I've been doing this. There are organizations that go 100% through partnerships and channel. Like
Yeah.
everything is turned over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So when you get into some of these settings, the unpacking and the unwinding on who owned the deal, like who really gets credit for it, becomes really interesting. Those big organizations used to be able to say, well, I'm X tech company and I'm the number one in the space, so you're going to have to sell my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore. There's competition everywhere. And so what it comes down to for partners and partnering is, what is the value in that relationship? What's the value proposition? What's the business proposition? What do I get out of it? And are those two things valuable enough on both ends of that relationship that it's worth investing the time and the effort into establishing something meaningful?
Yeah.
And when those two things are aligned, you do some amazing things together. If they're not aligned, then it is awkward and friction filled.
So I want to talk about that alignment because you said something really interesting. As businesses, we all have an ICP, an ideal customer profile, right? And it's one of the biggest areas of debate within a company, right? Alignment around your ICP is not an easy thing to get to. You talked about having an ICP for your partner program, right? Who's your ideal partner
Ideal
profile?
partner profile. Yeah, so your ICP has to align to your IPP, your ideal partner profile. And when those two things get aligned, it works extremely well. So what ends up happening in this motion, and as often as I've been involved with this, I still did this myself, right? Like I'm going through this right now personally. We started up a partner program for our tech. People know who we are, so it immediately attracted like all of these partners. And we got up to, I don't know, it was like 50 or 60 partners that were all, wanting to pay attention to us or wanting us to pay attention to them. And you would think that was awesome, right?
Right.
But on the side of that, you start digging in, and why are they in those relationships, and what do they want out of it, and what's the real probability that I can deliver to them the thing that they're hoping for, and that they can deliver to me the thing I'm hoping for. I've had to go through this year actually and take that number and decrease the heck out of it. I've been firing partners and aligning the ones that we do have to the ones that I can support, that my team can support, that our business can support, that we can drive opportunity towards, and that we know can drive opportunity towards us. and we know that they're selling what we're looking for, and they know that we're going to deliver them the support that they need and the leads that they need to actually for us to be incremental to their business base.
So this leads into naturally then, it's not simple, right? It's not. Tell me,
No.
like, from your words, like, how do you think about if you were educating us that don't run big programs on you need to start a program, but here's what you need to know going in? Like, what are the
Yep.
things that we should be understanding and how we need to be working a program?
The biggest thing that I tell people when they ask me that, and this might seem so dumb, but your value proposition cannot be we are the best X.
Yeah. Yeah.
That no one cares. You might that statement might be true, but no one cares if they can't make any money off of your tech or your product or your solution or whatever it is that you're selling. Let's give an example. I mean, maybe you resell AI currently. Let's just say Chat GPT comes to you and says, we want you to be a partner. Okay, well, what's the value proposition? We're Chat GPT. We're open AI. Well, how can I make money off of your product? I don't know. That's up to you. But we are open AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That is never going to be enough. And so you have to really build out formal programs that have meaningful incentives that allow businesses to make money. Businesses are in it to make money. That's the whole reason that they exist. And if you lose sight of that, then you'll never actually establish the relationship that you want. What you want to do is actually get it past that so that they know that they can build a book of business around your product, that they can make good money at it. And then you can focus on the things that actually matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would imagine a big part of this is those partners, they need to be able to trust that you are going to deliver when they package you together, right, with what they're selling. Like one of their biggest concerns probably isn't, are you this much faster than your competitor, but are you this much better at supporting, right, the joint effort in what we're doing and the trust that you're going to be there and you're not going to leave them out, like leave them out in the cold.
Yeah, there's a concept in partnerships called channel conflict, basically. And when you start digging into what channel conflict is, it's that when I bring you the deal, your direct sellers aren't going to immediately bid on the same deal, right? We're not going to be in competition with each other for the deal that I'm trying to sell on top of your platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that happens more than you'd guess because on the other end of it, a CRO that doesn't really understand partnerships might be saying, go win that deal.
Yeah.
Or a CFO would be like, why am I paying the partner this when you had that deal yourself? The reality of that is that, again, you're better together than you are solo. So you need to minimize the channel conflict. The people that you sell to are looking for solutions. They're looking for solutions to the problems that they face. And oftentimes those are multiple products put together into a solution that solves the problem. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you're only one piece of that, sure, you may have been able to do that. You might have gotten one deal here, but you burned a relationship for the long term. And now in the future, you're never going to be in that solution. They're going to find someone that is going to not compete with them that will be in that solution instead of you.
So, I mean, how do you brought up an interesting, like there's conflict from the channel side that they don't want you to sell and try to, take a deal away. But internally, your direct sales department, they got to be looking at this, could look at this as, hey, you're taking away opportunity from me, right?
Yeah.
How do you work with that you're not cannibalizing their opportunities, that you're actually expanding their opportunities?
That's a really awesome question, actually, because what happens is, particularly in channels that really start strong and then scale, they connect their direct sellers to partners. so that they're
Mhm.
selling together instead of selling against each other. And that selling together retires quota, and they actually commission at the same level that they would have otherwise. Right. So from a coin operation standpoint, sales guys are coin operated, right? So if a partner is going to bring you a deal and you make a commission at the same level as the commission you make when you source your own deal, and you've got three partners that each have five sellers, so now you've got 15 people selling on your behalf. Um,
Yeah.
you versus 15 people, you don't stand a chance. So pretty soon, those guys are like, oh, I love partners, right? Because those guys are bringing me deals on a daily basis that I can turn around and support and commission on, and I can retire my quota. So they still sell the stuff that they're selling, but they're so happy about supporting partners. It's crazy.
So tell me the CFO point of view on this. It's like, okay, well, Vaughn, I mean, I gotta pay full commission, but I'm also paying the partner over here. Tell me the conversation you're having with the CFO. So the CFO is all excited about this.
Yeah, the thing that you've got to do there is there's that principle that we mentioned early on about these jobs being more profitable is
Yeah,
important
yeah,
because they are more profitable. The cost of acquisition of a deal in the partnership world is lower than the cost of acquisition in the direct selling environment because the close rates are better and the time to close is better. You're not hanging around on a deal as long, which means that, the number of sellers needed in a channel oriented environment is less than the number of sellers you would have to have if you were direct selling everything.
Mm,
And so when you start to take all of the metrics into account, yeah, you're commissioning a sales guy, all right, and you're commissioning the partner, but net for net, because that deal is going to be more profitable, and it's not like 1% more profitable. Typically speaking, these are in double digit more profitable
mm.
going through partnerships than if you direct source it. And the reason for that is that your direct sellers are going to race to the bottom on your price because they'll feel like they've got all this competition that's out there. Your partners are in the room and they know what they've got to charge. They're charging the most they possibly can to get the commission that they can, the best possible commission outcome. And
Yeah.
so the deal sizes end up being larger when you go that way. Well, I've just eliminated a bunch of, sales engineers and sellers and all these people that are supporting those deals, and the thing is larger. And so the profitability goes through the roof when you start to look at it. CFOs, that speaks to them if they can see it in if they can see it in their P&L. And the big thing is not so much um, converting them; it's showing them the evidence and hoping that they'll be patient enough to see it through,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this process, it doesn't happen overnight. And so when you're dealing with something that full scales about a 3-year process as opposed to a 6-month process, sometimes that's hard for CROs and CFOs to hang around for.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that you just, I was going to ask you a question. You just gave a part of the answer to it. But there's a question before that. So if, if CFOs love it, right? CROs love it. The whole sales team loves it. CEO loves it. Like, why do these programs fail? Like,
Well,
what happens?
Well, the thing that happens is that they don't understand the difficulty of actually getting it up to speed. So typically
Mm.
speaking, what happens in the first case is that they'll say, okay, let's start up something in partnerships. And so they look at one of their direct sellers and they say, we trust you. Let's put you in charge of partnerships. Well, that
Uh,
person's never been in partnerships before. They don't have any experience with it, or they've maybe seen it at other organizations, but they've not had to set up the programs. They've not had to set up the commission structures. They've not had to set up the technology that gets wrapped around this. And so they struggle. It's hard, right? Like they're having to create things that they know very little about with people that are selling like this every day, because whether you've got it or whether you don't have it, your partners are selling like this,
Yeah.
right? Or the people that you're trying to get the attention of. So if your program sucks, they know it. If you're not giving them enough money to support this, they know that your competitor does. So you see them wobble around for about a year. And after about a year, someone goes, man, that thing is not driving any revenue for us. Let's bag it, because that guy was a great sales guy, and at least he can give me $1 million in sales a year. I'm not getting $1 million out of my partnership. So that sucks. And then or the other person that they'll do is they'll go hire someone that's not experienced in it. Like they've been a manager, but they're putting the manager in charge of like a director or a VP level role to create this thing that they were previously was all sort of handed to them and that they didn't really have to. And that's better than the guy sitting in the corner of the room, but it's not the ideal, which is someone that's actually done this all before. So then what you end up seeing is after about a year, the CRO, the CFO, and the CEO get together, they axe the partnerships. And then the next time someone wants to talk about partnerships, the CEO goes, I've done that before. That sucks. It doesn't work for my business. It happens over and over and over again, actually. I can't tell you how often I've actually seen that happen.
Oh,
But
I would say way more than not, right? And
yeah.
so if there was in the short amount of time we have left here, if you could take everything that we've covered and say, hey, if there was one thing that I wanted other C-suite executives to know about partner programs, to take away, if you took away anything from this conversation, take this away, what would that be?
Your value proposition has to be good and it has to be competitive. Okay. You're being the best at anything isn't your value proposition. Figure out what partners need to be successful in a partnership with you. I have 3 things. That's number 1. Know your ideal partner profile, right? Recruit partners that can actually transact on your behalf.
Mm.
Okay. And build the relationship. If you can do those 3 things, the sky's the limit. Now, that seems pretty simplified, but that's the reality of it. Now, it takes 3 years to do it. Typically speaking, you start to see revenue coming through in the first year, and then it starts to accelerate in the second, and then you're full steam ahead in about the 3rd year. But it starts to pay for itself somewhere in the 2nd year, usually.
So you got to have some commitment. You got to have some buy-in up front. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Because
you really do.
not all of us CMOs and CROs last that long
No,
to
there's
begin
a
with.
real problem with this. Actually, I'm a CRO. You know what the average life cycle of a CRO is? It's 18 months. So if this thing is going to take 2 years to see the revenue from, how many CROs are actually going to commit
Yeah.
to that as their process? They're going to step in and they're going to start battering people over the head about pipeline. What's your pipeline multiple? That's the thing they know. That's why we all have specialty areas. A lot of people that batter pipeline a lot better than I do. If you can give it the time, if you can give it the 2 years or the 3 years, it's well worth it. But you can't eject after the first year when it gets hard.
Well, I would imagine it's a lot less stressful too. Here's one thing I know is going to happen. People are going to have questions. Is it appropriate that I give out a link to your LinkedIn profile so people could ask
Oh yeah.
questions?
Yeah, please do. In fact, I connect with a lot of people and I don't try to sell to them. I produce a lot of content on this topic. I think that partnerships should be that 3rd leg of the stool. And without it, you're wobbling around on 2 legs. The day that partnerships become sort of the accepted third leg of the go-to-market strategy is a day that I'll be awfully happy. I still run into a lot of folks that I get into go-to-market meetings and they're talking about sales and marketing and they never even mention it. It's a big gap, big gap. So yeah, connect with me. Love to do it. I'd love to chat with people about it.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. This was a very illuminating conversation. And, the goal here, the mission of the podcast is to bring different perspectives, different ideas, different insights from B2B C-suite individuals all over the world. So that's the rising tide that lifts all boats, if we can do that and
Yeah.
share, right? And you were
Yeah.
amazing today at it. Thank you.
Well, this has been a blast. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And partnerships are where it's at. Build those relationships.